The search for Auburn's next offensive coordinator rages on, and with well over a week into the search and some interesting turns and twists, here we arrive with another candidate off the table. So now let's talk about who are the most likely candidates and the pros and cons of why they should or shouldn't be the next offensive coordinator for Auburn. Welcome to the E2C network, where the Auburn family speaks. Our content here and on our podcast network may tend to be Auburn sports heavy, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you never miss any content, and thank you to members of our booster club like John Stokes who help produce videos like this. It's been a long, frustrating process for Auburn fans, and I can only imagine how frustrating it's been for head coach Bryan Harsin in trying to find the next offensive coordinator. For those of you that are just now catching up, we've done a video detailing some of the twists and turns that have been going on over the past few days and almost over a week now since we thought we had the next offensive coordinator in hand. That being Arizona State offensive coordinator Zach Hill, who has a lot of history with Harsin and I thought made the most sense, and I think he probably did as well. The reports are, and you can find this pretty much anywhere at this point, that there were some compliance issues where Arizona State really wasn't being very helpful. It's not necessarily Auburn or Bryan Harsin's fault and the reason that this didn't happen. It's really on Arizona State at this point. So that doesn't look like it's going to be a reality unless the skies open up and something just gets figured out. So it's time to move on to some other candidates in the search for the next offensive coordinator. So what I've done is selected what I think is the most likely options for Auburn, and the ones that I think there's the most buzz around at this point. While these are the best options I think are out there, this thing is changing all the time, so don't be surprised if some new information comes out even after you view this video. So I've selected 3, and this is coming from my source and things that I'm seeing discussed on social media, message boards, on websites, just trying to aggregate everything together to get to the best possible options. And there are 3: Dell Mcgee, Jeff Grimes, and Austin Davis. Let's talk about each of them, a pro and a con, at least for each of those. Now, I will say, before we discuss those, I think the decision of who this is going to be is on what Harsin actually wants in terms of what type of role he wants to have in the offense in this upcoming season. Does he want to maintain the traditional head coach CEO role of overseeing everything and not necessarily hands-on, or does he want to actually call plays? There's been some discussion that he's actually considering that, especially with this Zach Hill thing falling apart. So whatever he decides there is going to inform this decision, but I also think it will inform what he thinks is the priority in fixing this offensive scheme for Auburn, because each of these I'm going to talk about have different strengths. Let's talk about number 1, Dell Mcgee. And when I say number 1, this isn't necessarily he's the best choice. I'm just saying number 1 I'm talking about. He is the UGA run game coordinator. He's a former Auburn guy. He was here, played his college career here, and he spent a lot of time bouncing around to different NFL teams and other semi-pro leagues. So there's a lot to like with Dell Mcgee, especially how potent Georgia's run game has been over the past few seasons that he has been there. So that's the biggest thing right there. An Auburn guy, run-focused. It's what's Auburn is known for, their people and their run game. The con: as far as I know, he has had no play calling or OC experience. It's not listed on his resume, so I can assume that he has not had a lot of that. Now, that's not necessarily a con if that's what Coach Harsin wants, but just in terms of us as fans speculating about this, I can see that being a con. Number 2, Jeff Grimes, the Baylor offensive coordinator. Honestly, I can make the best case for this one being the choice, and I think you're probably reading into this now, realizing he's my favorite, but I digress. The pro for him, the most experienced out of all the candidates that I've heard. He has literally been everywhere, the West Coast, the Mid-Coast, the SEC several times. He's a former Auburn guy, not a player, but he was a coach here during the championship run under Coach Chizik and built that amazing offensive line that Cam Newton ran behind. Cam was a great athlete, but even great athletes need great offensive lines, and we had that under Jeff Grimes. Since then, he's still been offensive line focused, which, if you've been on this channel, you know that's a big thing for me. But also, he's had time being a tight ends coach along with his offensive coordinator position and a run game coordinator position as well. So he has been all over the board. He has had the most experience and seems the most prepared to take on an offensive coordinator role here at Auburn. Seeing as how he's already doing that at Baylor. Here's the con, though. he might not be long at Auburn if he were to come here, because him being seasoned, him being prepared, he may be prepared for a head coaching role, which means we might lose him, especially if we have some early success. The other con, too, is he just got to Baylor, and while I think he enjoyed his time here at Auburn, I don't know that he'd want to move again just 1 year after arriving at Baylor, especially with the amount of success that they're currently having. Number 3, Austin Davis. We didn't discuss him in our previous video breaking down what's been going on in this coaching search, but Austin is the Seattle quarterbacks coach. He just got that position within the last season or two, where he was the assistant quarterbacks coach before that. So this is a young guy who's been in the NFL recently. He's a former walk-on at Southern Miss. He's got Southern roots and ties, so that would be valuable for recruiting. A quarterback-focused guy. After he won the walk-on job at Southern Miss, he went on to set records and have a very successful season. And while he's probably not known for his time in the NFL, he's known as being a good quarterback-focused guy, which is something obviously Auburn fans want to see. But here's the other thing to think about too, and this might be a little bit of a con, is that Coach Harsin himself is a former quarterback and a quarterback guy. So that may be a little bit of an overkill format there, but if he's going to be called plays, maybe that's the area that Coach Harsin wants to put focus on fixing this offense. I don't think so, but that's just personally my opinion. And the other con would be no offensive coordinator experience. I think there are ups to bringing Austin Davis in. I just don't know that he is the best overall candidate. So I've given you the pros and cons for all of them, and I'd stress that while I think Jeff Grimes is the best option, I'm not so sure that he will be the next offensive coordinator at Auburn, or even any of these guys. These are just the 3 that I keep hearing, and I just wanted to kind of put them out there and discuss. The big thing, though, we said it at the top of this video, is what Coach Harsin wants. Does he want the CEO role, or does he want to have his hands in the offense this season? Only time will tell, and this decision will inform us what Coach Harsin sees as the priority for this offense in the upcoming season. I've shared my thoughts. Now I want to hear yours in the comments section below. Let me know of these 3, which one you would prefer. I know there's a lot of other choices, and there may even be someone selected that we're not talking about here. But I want to know, out of these 3, Dell Mcgee, Jeff Grimes, Austin Davis, which one you would prefer. Let me know down there in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this type of content, please help support it by smashing that like button. And if you want more content from us, be sure to hit the subscribe along with the notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live stream. Check out ways to help support our content listed in the description, such as becoming a Booster Club member or even a channel member here, both starting at $1 a month. And don't forget, Wednesday nights we do live streams where you can call in and discuss things. Obviously, we'll be talking about this offensive coordinator search. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. War Eagle.